Welcome to Morning Reflections, brought to you by Raising Dreamers Ministries. Hey everybody, I'm Teresa Gross, and this week we've been talking about hearing God, and I'm just so excited about hearing God and what He's doing in my own heart as I study and sit before Him. And I would love to hear your response to this and how God is speaking to you. So if anybody wants to respond, I would love to hear that. This morning, let's turn our attention to Luke 8:5-8. A sower went out to sow his seed, and as he sowed, some fell beside the road, and it was trampled underfoot, and the birds of the air ate it up. Other seed fell on rocky soil, and as soon as it grew up, it withered away because it had no moisture. Other seed fell among the thorns, and the thorns grew up with it and choked it out. And then the other seed fell into the good soil and grew up and produced a crop 100-fold. And it says, as he said these things, Jesus was speaking, he would cry out, call out, he who has ears to hear, let him hear. Now, traditionally, this parable talks about a lost person hearing the word, and that the seed is the gospel, and the sower is the one who is proclaiming the gospel, and then the soul are the different kinds of hearts, people's responses to receiving that gospel. But I think there's a lot of wisdom that can be gained by just looking at the different kind of souls and looking at our hearts. So a farmer scattered seed in 4 different kinds of soil. Just to recap, there's a hard ground, there's the rocky ground, the stony ground, there's a thorny ground, and then there's the good ground, the good soil. So the hard ground prevents the seed from sprouting. It won't go in. It's just hard. There's just concrete dirt that has no opening for the word to go in. And it says in the word, if you will hear my voice, harden not your heart. And that is so important. When you hear God's voice, to grab it, to take heed to it. Psalms 119:60 says, I will hasten and not delay to obey your commands. Psalms 119:32, I will quickly obey. That is a sure way for your heart not to become hard in any spots. Then there's a stony ground. It would allow the seeds to germinate, but then the plants wouldn't take root and they would wither because they had no moisture. The washing of the water of the word could not go down and nourish those seeds. Ezekiel 36 says, I will give you a new heart and take away the stony heart and give you a soft heart of flesh. And I think it's important to take those distractions and the hardships, the bumps that we would stump our toe on, and take them to the foot of the cross and just begin to give them to Jesus and walk around them. He gives you that liberty to set your eyes on Him, to step away from those distractions and sit with Him and hear His voice. Then there's the thorny ground. It allows the seed to grow, but the thorns choke that plant. And I look at that as possibly, as for a Christian, things that would tend to want to give us bitterness, things that would go down in our heart and bring resentments. And there may be things in the past before you became a Christian that even cause bitterness or resentment in your heart. And those things prick us. And they not only prick us, but they prick those who come around us. And so I heard at one of the Raising Dreamers retreats that thankfulness is the voice of surrender. And so as you begin to thank the Lord for those hardships, for those things that would cause bitterness or resentment, thank Him for them. Those are opportunities dressed up in work clothes. And so, thankfulness, He will give you beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, a garland of praise for a spirit of heaviness. And let's look at the good ground. That's the best. It produces much fruit. Galatians 5, the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness. Against such there is no law. John 15:8, herein is my Father glorified, that you bear much fruit. So shall you be my disciples. And that's what we want. The Lord will work through your heart. He will produce good ground as you sit with Him and you listen to the Word. So these different soils represent different responses to Him. And I would just encourage each person to take a quick look in and a long look out and sit with the gardener. He walked in the garden in the early morning in the dew of the day. And whenever you sit with Him, just let Him come walk with you and listen and respond quickly.